Hello, I'm William Brougham and you're watching the panel shows Hear the Music. And on today's show, we're coming to you from Douglas Park in the Macarthur region of New South Wales. And I've got a treat for you. I've just been hearing these guys warming up and you're going to love what we've got at the end of the show. With us are Kevin Sullivan and Jay Seeney, both singers and songwriters. But my first question, and I always open the show this way, is tell us about your music, Jay.
Oh, well, I guess if you mix Keith Urban with Metallica, you've got Jay Seeney.
That's what I love.
That's the simplest way to describe it.
What kind of music do you play?
Well, I guess, yeah, it's a lot like Keith Urban, but we do like to add those more chunky style guitars, I guess. So a little bit of meat in there and, yeah, just blend a lot of different influences from, you know, even heavy metal, rock and country and just mash that up all together and see what happens.
So you mix heavy metal with rock and country?
Yeah, well, we try.
Where did you get the idea from to do that?
Well, I grew up mostly listening to like Green Day and a lot of those kind of rock bands, and then as I practiced guitar more and more, I was looking for trickier and trickier things to play, so eventually the music got heavier and heavier. So then it was about the time I turned 17, I got about as heavy as you could get, and then I swung back the other way completely to country music and started to blend what I'd learnt from all the heavy metal and the rock and then put that in the country, basically.
So it's a form of fusion?
You could say that, yes.
And what's been the general reaction?
Well, I know it's some of it's been polarising.
Do you get purists?
Some people are like, that's not country music. You know, you get that. But, you know, a lot of especially the younger folks are like, yes, we love it. And you're starting to see that a lot across the board now that country music's really starting to modernise and get a lot of mainstream acceptance. So it's really exciting to see.
Fantastic. Kevin, tell us a bit about your music.
So similar to Jay, apart from the heavy metal, it's a little bit more traditionalist, I would say. I do have a unique sound, but I have a bit of a fusion as well. Lots of genres with a strong foundation, probably of country music. So a lot of my songs have a lot of instruments you would normally hear in a country band. So I have a song called No Saxophone that, funnily enough, has a big saxophone solo, and some people say, like, where's that coming from? But I mean, back historically, people like Johnny Cash had, you know, like the Folsom Prison and a lot of these songs with trumpet and a lot of brass instruments in it. So they're not, you know, they're not out of the story, you know, historically. So my music, like I said, very unique. A strong country music foundation, and you can hear the strong country music roots coming through my songs, and yeah, but very wide, from sort of country rock to ballad style and quieter and sort of rocky traditional stuff as well.
And you and Jay have never met before.
So I know who Jay is, and
Yes.
he's not only a great musician, he's a great film guy, you know, film clips and.
But you've
and
never
I've followed
actually
him.
met, have you?
No,
And you've
met
never
him for the
played
first time.
together?
Nope.
First
no.
time.
Yeah, I heard you play earlier as you were warming up, and you would never guess. You'd think you'd been performing together for years.
Well, I think that's the great thing about music, to be honest. Like, you can go all around the world, and because it
True.
being like a language, you know, as long as you speak in the same language, you can converse, you know. So
And you just
it's
become
great.
in sync, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think particularly with country music, more so I believe than other genres, it is very connectability and very family and you know, a lot of country music you know, superstars, you know, you can like, as other artists, we can contact them and randomly and generally they will help you out. So it's just a nice family style, and you know, you go to festivals and you rarely have any dramas at country music festivals, and I think that's why we just sort of all click and just work together, so in a really nice way.
And I'll ask you about the country music festivals in just a moment. But Jay, can you tell us a bit about the passion behind your music?
Yeah, well, music has been something that's been there forever. When I was 3 years old, my mum said that I asked for a saxophone. Now,
Wow.
I didn't get it, though. But 2 years later, I got a clarinet. That was basically a saxophone. It was close enough. So practiced that for a couple of years and then finally got my saxophone. So that was good. And then turned 12, 13 and heard this crazy rock music. What is this? And I just had to pick up the guitar. And ever since then, I've just loved music. And it's brought so many great opportunities and the ability to do so many great things. So really glad that I went down this way.
Kevin, same question. Tell us a bit about the passion behind your music.
Well, I have a song called No Saxophone, so I'd like to talk to Jay off stage about him, you know, playing with
Good
me.
idea.
But yeah, look, I was a former, you know, like I've always played music for a long time and toured all around the country. I was a former forensic crime scene policeman for many years, so a lot of my songs are stories, not only from my forensic days, but from when I travelled through the outback, people that I meet. So, I like to have, my songs are a lot about stories, and people relate to a lot of them, and they're not all sad, but some of them are quite up-tempo.
Are they true crime?
Yeah, some of them are just people I've met, and some sad things. But I just sort of mix it up. But a lot of them are quite true to life in terms of a lot of the stories and people that I meet around the country.
And so, who are your major musical influences?
I think growing up, so my dad is a piano player, so I think it's important, people watching, it's important if you want to get your children into music, you've got to have music around all the time, and we know, I'm one of 6 children, and so my dad played piano, we all sang, and I do that with my children, and it's an education, and it encourages them to sing and tone and pitch. My mum was a very big country music fan. Sadly, she's not with us anymore. But she introduced me to the likes of Charlie Pride and Slim Dusty, Johnny Cash. So I always had those, sort of growing up, and I think that's where I got my love of country music, probably through my mum, because my dad's more sort of Dixieland jazz, and there's a little bit of influence in that in some of my songs, but again, a strong foundation of country music.
What about you, Jay? Who are your musical influences?
Oh, Kevin, for sure.
Absolutely, mine too.
You need to get out more, Jay.
Yeah.
That's the door.
I guess I draw a pretty big cross-section. Like, I just love music, and, doing music at uni and stuff, you're just exposed to so much stuff. But I could probably narrow it down to Eric Church is probably a big influence. US country artist, fantastic. Big and Rich is what initially got me into country music, and I just fell in love like the second I heard their songs. Like, this is fantastic. But yeah, a bit of that. Joe Satriani, I do love my guitar. So yeah, it just comes from all over the place.
And of course, you've performed at country music festivals. What do you think is the pinnacle here in Australia of country music festivals?
All right, there's a couple. The Tamworth is definitely a must-do for any country artist, but also CMC rocks. What is it now? Queensland. It used to be the Hunter Valley. So yeah, I'd say they're probably the pinnacle, but there's so many great festivals that are really up in that echelon, like Denny Ute Muster and the Gympie Muster, and now this new one at Berry looks fantastic. That's just popped up. So yeah, there's quite a few, which is great.
Kevin, how do you explain the popularity of country music here in Australia?
I think because it's living, breathing, it's growing, and you look at some of the country artists, they're sort of they're very diverse. The sounds, again, still with that country sound. But years ago, people say, "Oh, I don't like country music," and you'd say, "Well, why?" And then you'd play something, they say, "I'd love that," and I'd say, "Well, that's country music." And I think people have just been educated a bit more. It's so wide. Country music is a very wide genre now. And getting back to the festivals, I mean, I played a big festival in Berry last weekend, which was a fantastic festival, and it's inaugural festival. But I mean, I have played a lot of the smaller ones. So I mean, the Gimpies, the CMC, Tamworth, obviously they're fantastic. But we've got a big one down the road at Kiama, which is a magnificent festival, and I'm playing down at Mildura this year as well. And there's a smaller one starting in Griffith called the Murrumbidgee Festival. And you go to these festivals and they don't have the huge crowds, but the vibe's the same. The love of country music's the same. And people, when you play at these places, they can't stop thanking you for bringing the country music to them. So, look, we have a rule in our house, there's always room for one more guitar, and I think there's always room for one more country music festival. So keep them going.
And Kevin, what's the typical process for writing a song? What do you go through to do it?
Look, some songs just write themselves. I have a song that I just recorded in Nashville, and I had a film clip up, and a woman on Facebook made a comment. I don't think she was all that knowledgeable on how Facebook works, and she was commenting to a friend of hers about my music, and luckily she was saying nice things. And so I wrote it. She didn't quite get it, and I was there. Her name was Luann, and I was at home thinking, Luann, I can see what you're writing. So I wrote a song about that, and people say, how did you write that? It basically wrote itself, and a lot of my songs are very true to the story of people I've met through the outback, Innaminka, Birdsville, Burke. So for me, I do find it a little easy to write songs because I just write, and I love to be a storyteller. So for me, I have the story, pick the chords, and then I just start sort of working around it.
What I love about country music is there's an honesty, there's a rawness about it.
It really is.
There's something very natural about
Yep.
it. And the people I've previously interviewed, the songs come to them quite naturally. They just sort of evolve and happen.
And people love to hear the story. They say, "How did you write that?" I say, "Well, it's about this and about that." And they love to know a little bit about yourself as country artists. And Jay was the same. And Jay, in his video business, who really explores that and shows that to the world in a beautiful way, people love to know about country artists, and we love telling them as well.
Jay,
Yeah.
what's a typical songwriting process for you?
Oh, jeez. So, I generally like to co-write with people, generally, because when I'm just writing myself, I tend to get stuck in the same
we-
ideas.
we
should
collaborate?
tee up one. Let's tee up one. Because, yeah, I tend to get stuck in the same ideas, but working with different people is just such a great way to open up, like, the possibilities of song. Because, yeah, it's so easy to get bogged in doing the same thing. But, yeah, I do a lot with Drew McAllister, and we usually sit down and we'll start with a few chords. We might listen to a few songs for inspiration and go, okay, well, what do we want the vibe of this song to be like? And then we go from there and then start to come up with a melody and then attach the lyrics to that. So we kind of start from more of a music side as opposed to a lyric side.
Tell us a bit about your video making.
Oh, I love shooting videos because I obviously spend a lot of time creating sonically with audio, so it's really great to be able to take that and then do the same for video. But I started my company doing video basically because I saw a spot in the market. It was just really expensive for artists to get good quality videos, so I just wanted to make sure that I could do those great quality videos at a price that was much more affordable for people so that they could compete on the same level as a lot of the really big artists that have the big budgets. So yeah, started probably just over 2 years ago, and it's been fantastic. We just shot Lee Kernigan's new clip a couple of weeks ago.
Amazing. You
and-
got to meet him.
yeah, met him and filmed with him.
What's he
and
like?
He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Seriously, like him and
He's
Troy
a legend.
Daly,
Both legends.
Yeah, like amazing guys, and really willing to give you their time to talk about stuff, and yeah, he's a top guy.
Kevin, what are the biggest challenges of songwriting and performing?
I think for me, being a bit more mature age person, and look, you're never too late to chase your dream.
You're only 35.
Thank you very much. I've always liked you. I think
like
for
you
me,
more.
sort of the old work-life balance. I have older daughters. I have a 28, 27-year-old daughter from my first marriage, and then I have 3 smaller children, 9, 7, and 3. So my wife works in Sydney. So for me, the challenges are just juggling, life and the children, and making sure that I'm there for them and their guidance, and then writing music, getting away. So you really have to be quite organised. And I actually caught up with Amber Lawrence a couple of days ago, and I really respect Amber. She's one of the hardest working singer-songwriters in the business, always willing to give you her time, but she has so much on, and I've learned from her that you just really, this is a business, doing music is a business, and you really have to be focused, and you got to do a lot of it yourself. And you pretty much got to be on the ball all the time. Yeah.
And Kevin, you've been in this business for some time. What's your advice for those who are new to it or, starting out?
I think it is very hard and very, very challenging, and you have some great highs, but then you have some lows where you think, why am I doing this? Look, we all have good and bad days, no matter what we do. My advice is, if you have a bad day, you're going to have a bad day. Put it behind you, and tomorrow is a new day. You start again. It's hard, but you think, put it behind you. Today's a new day, positive, beautiful day. So, and just don't give up. And you've got to have trust in yourself, believe in yourself. And there's a lot of fantastic artists out there. We're not competing against each other. We're all working together. So, just have faith and trust in what you do.
And if you've had a bad day, you can write about it.
And write a song about it. Absolutely. Yep. That's the way to do
Jay,
it.
I'll ask you the same question. What advice would you give?
Yeah, so it's people seem to try and make it really complicated. I think it's really simple if you do it right. There's a couple of things that you need to do well, I think, in the music industry. One is obviously you've got to be good. You've got to work really hard at what you do.
Yep.
The second thing is you've got to take as many opportunities as you can. And the third thing is you've got to be really grateful for those opportunities. And I think if you can do those things and, be very good at what you do, seize the opportunities and, genuinely be thankful for the opportunities that you've got and things you've been able to do, then I think that's pretty much all you need.
The impression I get is that your songwriting and your music takes up most of your time, but surely you've got some interests outside of that. What about you, Jay?
I do like to train a bit at the gym. You know, that's the hour I've got in the day. That's usually where I am. The rest of the time I'm working. Just editing videos, shooting videos, or playing music.
What about you, Kevin?
I think that the benefit for me having older children and then having new children, it's allowed me to really stop and smell the roses a bit. So I think I appreciate things a lot more. With my little children, I see so many little things, and a lot of women experience this because historically women are the stay-at-home people, whereas I'm doing all this, and I hate to say this, it's such a hard job. So men should never knock it. It's one of the hardest jobs, but it is one of the most rewarding things. So for me, it really is about family. So and I just get so much joy of watching everything they do, their schooling, their sport, their music, and then just their ideas and thoughts on life. I just sit there and think, wow, where's that coming from? So
do any of your children want to, do what you're doing?
So I have 5 children, and they all sing to varying degrees. Got to be really careful what I say here. I have a son, KJ, who is just phenomenal, and a song I've just recorded called Luann, and I picked him up from football training because I'm looking for someone to do backing vocals. Jay might talk about that as well.
Yes.
So I said to my son
Ready-made.
after football training, could you just see how you go doing some harmonies on the back of this? And he just instinctively just nailed it. And I remember driving him home from football thinking like, wow. So it's a real joy when one of your children follows your passion, and he loves it. They perform. He and my smaller daughter, who's 7, Chacha, they both do perform with me. Sometimes they get up, and just the confidence they get is a great thing. So always encourage people to get your children into music. Guitar, a great instrument.
Absolutely, good advice.
Yep.
Jay, what are your hopes and plans for the future?
Well, I'm really loving what I'm doing at the moment. So I think if I can just keep doing that, and really working hard and being able to contribute to other artists' careers and be able to continue to put out music and play these festivals, I'm pretty happy. It's a nice simple one for me.
Kevin, what about you?
Look, I'm just trying to get my music out there. I've got some. I think I've got a great product, and like Jay said, I've worked hard. So I'm just trying to go as far as I can, and when people hear my music, that's just a win for me. And I love people's reactions. I love how different people interpret my songs in different ways, the happy ones, the sad ones. I get a lot of feedback on social media from just random people around the country who said, I've heard this, and I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So I just want to keep doing that, keep writing music and keep performing, love performing. So.
Kevin Sullivan and Jay Seeney, thanks so much for joining us here on the panel shows, Hear the Music. We can't let you go without hearing a couple of songs. So boys, take it away.
Okay, I'm just going to put Jay on the spot now. So C, D minor, F, G. I've just completely changed it. C, D minor, F, G.
All right.
I don't look like Taylor Swift. I don't have coin to bone. I can't sing like Johnny Cash, but I just want my turn. I can't stay up all night long drinking like I did. I'm just happy with my life and I've got lots of kids. I don't drive a flashy car or flash a flashy smile. I don't walk into a room and make the girls go wild. I don't make it to the game unless it's under 9s. Some would say that I have slow, but I'm just doing fine. Well, I don't look like Taylor Swift, I don't have coin to burn. I can't sing like Johnny Cash, but I just want my turn. I can't stay up all night long drinking like I did. I'm just happy with my life and I've got lots to get. Take it away, Jay. Never heard this song. I don't get to sleep too much, the kids make sure of that. But I can change a nappy quick, about 10 seconds flat. They love my stories all about those dinosaurs and bears. Sometimes there's a princess losing shoes upon the stairs. I see the singers battle on those singing TV shows. My kids yelling, say, hey daddy, won't you have a go? But I'm a dad who stays at home. My wife works so hard, she can keep the office, mine's out back there in the yard. I don't look like Taylor Swift, I don't have coin to burn. I can't sing like Johnny Cash, but I just want my turn. I can't stay up all night long drinking like I did. I'm just happy with my life and I got lots of kids.
Woo! And give us another. I loved it.
All right. Is that original?
Yep, just made that up actually. Yeah, it's one of mine.
Okay. Well, I guess I should play an original
Yeah.
too. But I'll tune up first.
Give me some chords, Jay.
Start with a G.
Okay.
E minor, C. All pretty standard stuff.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Spent years in the wilderness trying to find you, but I never did. I was looking high, I was looking low, trying to find you, but you never did show. Never gave up, I knew down deep while I was looking for you, you were looking for me. That night when I saw your face, all made sense, all fell in place. I was a train wreck all my life, and all the trouble I could find. Every time I get off track, I know you're gonna bring me back. Makes sense and I'm gonna come undone. I ain't needing anymore, you are the one and where I wanna be. And I found you, I found me. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. When I think of all the crazy times many years ago before you were mine, I know I wouldn't change a thing, ever crash and burn, led you to me. I ain't never gonna let you go, never ever gonna go back down that road. I found you, you found me. I was a train wreck all my life, and all the trouble I could find. Every time I get off track, I know you're gonna bring me back. Makes sense and I'm gonna come undone. I ain't looking anymore, you are the one and where I wanna be. And I found you, I found me. Train wreck all my life, all the trouble I could find. Every time I get off track, I know you're gonna bring me back. Makes sense and I'm gonna come undone. I ain't looking anymore, you are the one and where I wanna be. I was a train wreck all my life, all the trouble I could find. Every time I get off track, I know you're gonna bring me back. Makes sense and I'm gonna come undone. I ain't looking anymore, you are the one and where I wanna be. When I found you, I found me. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. When I found you, I found me. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Woo!
Beautiful. It's like a private concert. Jay Seeney, Kevin Sullivan, thanks so much for coming on the panel shows. Hear the music. I've been William Brougham. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thanks so much, very much for joining us. I'm going to do that again, Bruce. May I do my outro again? I didn't like that very much. Kevin Sullivan, are we ready? Ready to rock and roll.
I thought I was in trouble then. Kevin Sullivan, get out of the car.
Naughty,
Get
naughty
straight
boy.
to the end of the...
I loved it.
There we go, great song. Sorry, I just changed it the last one. I put
Wow.
it's all the way through.
Like a
Good song, that last